All right, here we are one more time back here trying to continue to work on this form library. And I'm having some trouble, or I had some trouble yesterday. I wanted to create these components and then test out this thing, kind of this throwaway item, and then go ahead to play with Storybook. But I didn't get to do any of that. Instead, I was unable to test initial values, which is something like this, where using vvalidate, you're able to pass in initial values. So let's say you're getting this from the server and you want to pre-populate your form with the values that you're getting from the server. So you pass in the object here and it pre-populates the form. Now this works for most of the fields. So I can see here, person, tee, green. It doesn't work for some of the components that I've wrapped from external libraries, like this multi-select, this tag select, this toggle, this thing here. So I set the width to 30, but when I refresh the page, it's 0. I set light to true, but it's false. And I went down this rabbit hole because I was avoiding doing something very specific. So vvalidate has a couple of APIs that you could use. Oops. Vvalidate has a couple of APIs that we could use. Let's get in here. And just because I don't know how to use this. So there's one which is you can use the form and the field tags, error message tags that they provide, which you do here. The other one is using composition API. And so you use field and use form. And from that, you're able to sort of build out your fields, but you have to do the work yourself. So you can't do something like this. So what I've done here, for example, is on fab input. It's nothing, right? I just use fab field and then do this stuff here, which is very nice. This component is super simple because fab field is doing most of the work, and really fab field is just a wrapper, and the work is really happening on field because I'm using this component straight up. But this causes problems, particularly with wrapping external libraries, where I'm not able to get the initial value from the field. For some reason, they don't make it available. Like they could have made it available via a ref. If I did something like, form field and then out here, I was able to get the ref and populate it somehow. That would have been nice, but that's not possible. And so I might have to end up using use field. Well, I'm going to try. And I'm going to base it off of some of the examples that they have here. Maybe you could just quickly look at a few of the examples. So you do something like this, where you would use field with the field name. So instead of the name being passed in here, it would be passed in here. And then it would give you a bunch of functions or values, reactive values that you could use, error message and value being part of them. And you also pass in a validation function if desired. And this could be yup, for example, or Zod, I assume. What else? Form level validation can be achieved using use form. Over here. And okay, I mean, really, that's the explanation here. I'm just trying to look at different examples they have. Password error. because I'm trying to avoid doing certain things if I can. Um, but I might not have the option. I might not have a choice here because I really can't get at that value, which is passed in through the form. Without, having a hack, and I don't want hacks. The whole point of building out a form library is not to have these outrageous hacks. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to build it out. I'm trying to take a look to see like what kind of things it's doing, and it's doing a lot of work actually, like work that I do not like, work that I don't want to do. But it seems like I'm going to have to, unfortunately, do that. Um, so they have some guidance here on how to maybe do some of this work. And it's a lot. Like, it actually is a lot of work, which is why I spent so much time trying to not do that. Okay, well, let's go. So in the examples, they have custom inputs, and they have an example over here. I'm going to just open that in the sandbox itself so there's a bit more room here. And, okay, cool. What they're doing here is they've made their own component called text input, which they are importing from here. Let me see if I can just jump in. Is that possible? Yeah, it is. And then this is what this looks like, which I might just copy this wholesale in a sense, at least to begin, and then try and work my way around it from there. So they are, yeah, so they have a bunch of props defined here, up here, type, value, name, label, success, and placeholder. I'm gonna have to undo a lot of the work that I've done here because, say something in my checkbox. Okay, so I'm using type checkbox, which is great. And then in select, for example, I'm using this like as select, which then makes the whole field a select. And then whatever I pass in default goes into the select. But if you don't pass in as, then whatever goes into the default is your component. Like that is your form input. And so it's got all these nuances that I'm afraid I might have to implement. All right, let's go. So I can, let me use fab input as kind of the, well, as I'm going back and forth, all of these are pretty much going to break as we build it out. So then I'll have to test them out one by one. And that's fine. So I will have to use field. I'm going to pass an undefined in the validation function. And it seems like there's some initial values I can pass in here. It might be a good idea for me to just take a look at that before I go into any rabbit holes. So first is the name. The other one is the rules. And the other one is partial field options, and field options are initial value. Validate on value update, validate on mount. Hoping that, okay, this I might want to set to false, but I don't know exactly how it works. Value prop, and I don't know what this is. Value prop, let's just take a look. Value prop. That's business. The business course. A computer property that indicates if the field should be checked or unchecked. Only available for type equals checkbox or radio. And field option is useful if you are creating custom checkboxes. Okay, so it's the value of the field. But that doesn't make sense. Then what's checked value and unchecked value? Oh, but value prop is just present here. They don't actually go into what it does. Interesting. Okay, well, all right. Label standalone. And there's a few ways I could probably go about doing this, and so I'm just gonna feel it out here. I have a vague idea, but nothing concrete. So I'm gonna get a bunch of things that I can do here, and then here I have props.name, so I should be able to do that. And I'll get a bunch of things here. Like I'm gonna get the value, I'm gonna get the error message, if any exists, handle blur, change. I'm copying this wholesale because this is sort of the example. Maybe it's not canonical, but it is an example of how you should handle the field. So I'm just gonna do that. And then down here, can I still use the error message tag? Probably not. And so I'm just gonna have to generate this myself. So let me actually just comment this out and take a look at what gets output during the error message, and then I'll know how to handle it. So if I leave that empty and submit, I get an error message. So let me just, it's a span with roll alert and just a span. So that's fine. In here, the equivalent of this, actually, I don't know that there is an equivalent of this. Because this is doing some magic internally with the whole form object to see whether there's an error or not. So we'll get to this in a second. Okay, fine. Now I know. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna have to slowly replace field and replace that initially with an input. Unless, some of the things are occurring here, and then even then I gotta do some weirdness here to replace the functionality that field is giving me. One of my options is to delegate everything to, for example, fab input here, and the input will actually live in fab input, and then I can just separate the logic of, for example, checkboxes from the selects from all these other things. And maybe that's actually the right thing to do here in my case, where I'll have a default slot, and maybe I just bind the field params, but instead of getting the field params from this field, I'm gonna get the field params from here. And I just bind them through. And this way, I'm not sure if we're allowed to use vModel on this input. So let's just see how they use it here. Do they use it with the vModel? They do. So straight up, you can use this with the vModel, which might solve a bunch of our issues. Maybe. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to call this field params and then delegate everything. and then there won't be like a complicated mess of logic in here, but they might be separated in different places. And I think that seems like the righter thing to do. So let's do this. So this becomes field params, and I'm using this over here. And then I'm not sure what I do with inherit adders exactly, but we'll see. We shall see. And field is no longer going to be used. So, and I'll have to test out validate on change and validate on blur because I don't want those active. And the ID name and everything else. So this just disappears. I gotta make sure that I have this out here, and then this will disappear. And here I'm saying, hey, if get that, that's no longer sensible. Oh, there's no template here. Actually, sorry, my bad. I could just gotten rid of that because I've already pulled out the slot. And there's always a default slot that lives in here. That is my actual field. And now when I go back, I expect, you know, unpleasantness here. Like none of this is a field. No. Your first name. Location. I'm kind of just clicking around to see if there is an actual field somewhere there. Where does it get your first name? What's your first name? What is this? Ah, okay, sorry, this is the help thing that I had. I feel like it's almost confusing to understand this when the fields are actually gone. Okay, no problem. There's nothing doing here, so let me actually just see what happens when I submit. I do get the values that were default. For example, let's say if I change the width, is that still like all the yeah, so this is just the default values, the initial values that I had passed in. All right. Let me start with fab input and just connect all these things here. And I am gonna actually type it out manually. Why, you ask? Just to get I don't know, you know, just as for typing experience. Let me see how I'm using this in different places. So it's just getting the field and v-binding the whole thing. I don't think that's available to me here. Although it would be nice if it were. So I have said, okay, v-bind all the field params, so they should individually be available to me. But I suppose I could have said something like field. And very similarly, you know, I have all the field things in, you know, in field, kind of nicely wrapped inside field. And just to get the feel of it, I might keep that. And then again, I search for this precisely so I could just get this bit here. And I know that I can go ahead and wrap that in the template. And go ahead and sort of populate this out. So this would be field.name, for example, and then sure ID is field.name as well for now. I'm accepting a type here, which means I'm going to have a type here, and it won't be, it'll just be type here. So because it's not part of field, it's part of my thing here. Value is going to be field.value. Placeholder. Yeah, that placeholder I had out here. I'm no longer going to pass here. Same thing with this. So, okay, really, these I should just pass in here. Maybe I can group them together as desired. And then this as well, will actually just go over here, right on the input itself. So fab field is now sort of this very uh, uh, empty component in terms of not really accepting any of these values here. Does that make sense? Sorry, I'm just thinking. For example, like here, I'm saying, hey, I need a label. And that's fine. That's going to pass through. I'm saying I need a name, but really, where am I using name here? Okay, so I'm using it for use field. So I need a name, which will be passed through, right? Like name will come through here and it'll be passed through here. But let's make that explicit. And then I'll need to make that explicit here. And what else do I have here? I have at input and blur. So let's put all the field things together. Input field dot handle change and field dot handle blur. That's interesting. Okay, let's see if this helps us any. I think, you know, having thought about it, I think I should be able to I should be able to do some stuff here. I think. Let's see. I might not need to change this, in fact, because I am passing in the name and everything should be as it is. I'm no longer using adders, and I don't think I want default adders. I might, but I feel like this component shouldn't have default adders. Okay, let's actually see whether our fields appear here. And almost. That's object. Wasn't expecting that. What if I did do vModel instead of value? Or maybe field.value is something weird. So let me user click here and get field being output. It doesn't like it because there's some circular business happening. Look, I don't like it. I was just, that should make absolutely no difference. Well, that's unfortunate. Can I say field.value? And I can. And there seems to be a value here, although it's typically I would have like it's the JSON JavaScript version, it seems, because I would have just expected person, not like quote person quote. Which makes me feel a bit odd as to what's happening here. And a bit odd as to why that's even happening at all. So maybe to help myself out, I'm just going to log field params here and feel this out. Okay, so I'm getting this because I have a whole bunch of, let me just refresh the page, just so I can find the first one. Error message, errors, good. Good. Set value, value is a computed property. But it does have a setter, so it could be, and the value is person. That all seems very legit. I expect an initial value here of person. Okay, seems good. And then, they're using input value, but that shouldn't make a difference. That's just using a different name. And we don't need to do this return. Maybe I need to do this initial value business here. Props dot val. I actually don't, because I'm not getting a value, although maybe I should have a value, optional value field here, which then I have to pass in here, which would come in through here potentially, and then it would get in here. But that's not, that's here nor there. Like, this shouldn't be giving me an error on value. Okay, well, let's figure it out. If I start typing stuff, it's just object with the latest key that I typed out. Fascinating. What else do I have here? Label. Okay, interesting. Bales. Okay, yeah. Checked value, unchecked value, type. Okay, that's interesting that it does want, like, it seems to want a type. Oh, no. No. I mean, maybe. Because it says, oh, some things are only available if type is set. I got my meta values here. And then I have a bunch of functions to either set value or set errors or state or what have you. Okay, no, like, I'm not seeing a problem here. But I'm going to try this vModel business. And this seems to have done not much. Oh, I need to do field value here. And maybe this will, no, this won't do anything. So field.value is, oh, geez. Okay. So this is working. Though I don't think this is what we want. Let's say I say person 1 here. I mean, maybe this is what we want. I shouldn't have to do that. Because if this is it's not the value of the value that's reactive, it should be value that's reactive. That's weird. Let's say if I submit this, this is person 1. I'm a bit confused here. Let me take a closer look here to see, like, if field.name is even something. Like, is it going to be is it like object? No. So name, ID, all this stuff seems fine. The only thing that's a bit weird is field.value. So I'm going to proceed like this for now, but I'm not thrilled about it. Not thrilled about this at all. Okay, I seem to have my field working here. But I'm not sure now, like, I think I want adders going here. The default adder is kind of applying to input and not applying to that field. Or do I? I don't know. So this is throwing everything up into weirdness, but that's fine. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's take a look at the changes that we made. Got rid of the field here. I gotta check up on validate on blur and validate on change. So for example, if I was to do this, which is on change, I get the error. I don't want that. And then validate on blur. I guess it's just by default. If I was to add another company and then blur out. So that doesn't seem to trigger. But validate on change is there. That's annoying, right? Like, and then, well, that's super annoying. Okay. So I'm going to figure that out later, actually. Not now. Even though I've removed functionality that was already there. Okay, this is, again, like a lot of work. Got half an hour in. All right. I'm committed. Like, I'm committing this stuff, even not even creating a new branch or anything, because I'm like, I can't get what I want without doing this. So here we are. Okay. Setting base for use field, converting fab input. And now I'm just gonna go in app view and then just go down one by one. So I got fab input. Now let's do fab select, which is our old color over here. And this will be very interesting. Okay, let's go. Fab select. And we were doing this as select business, but like that's not gonna do anything now. I'm just gonna copy this. And this becomes a select. And it's gotta close the tag. And this can now go below these options here. And then I'm gonna need a default wrapper as well. So let's bring that in. And get that working. Type I don't need. Placeholder is no longer like on here, it's in here. But I should check if select has a placeholder. And if it does, then okay, well, it seems like it doesn't. Because all these, well, nobody knows. Select tag, because those might be old. No, and I think I looked at this when I was initially doing the select stuff. All right, I got that V model stuff kind of handling this for us. Maybe, yeah, okay. I think that's fine. Inputted blur, that's fine. Placeholder I can remove. And the class here will really come from here. So, okay. And let's see what this looks like. That's the stuff I have. It's pre-populated with the stuff I wanted. And if I select orange and I submit, I expect to see orange in here, which I do. Fantastic. There is, again, just, a bunch of duplication here. But I think it's fine because it just needs to live as part of this. Yeah, it's fine. Converting fab select. Okay, that seems good. I don't have any errors on here, but it's fine. It's fine. Color. What? Okay, yeah, this just shows up because we're passing in all the default values of um, whatever this is, but I suspect if I make this orange, for example, and submit, color should not be orange. Color is red. So, and again, it doesn't have something pre-selected here, which it ought to. So let's go ahead and work on fab multi-select. And I'll just, I'll keep copying from the last. So I already have a default thing. It already has field. I won't be v-binding field here, but I will be, well, let's just copy paste, why don't we? And type is hidden. Input blur, you know what? Like, they don't make sense here, but for now, just for my sanity, I'm just gonna move things and then slowly remove them. And I think I should be able to do this just fine, which means I don't really need this value ref business that I was doing before. By the way, I just noticed that I have value out here in the outer scope, and then I have value here, but it's inside this function, but that shouldn't matter because it's still in scope, and no error. No error was shown. But let me just take a look to see if value is being used elsewhere. It was being used here, but vmodel on here is no longer sensible. This class here is not sensible, but I don't think this class was doing anything anywhere anyway. So must be an array. Must be an array. Okay. Yeah, color. In this case, it must be an array because the mode is. Okay, so let's just take a look to see in app.view. It might just be colors is an array. It is an array. So what's the deal? Let's find out. I was genuinely hoping this would just be magic. So let's get a pre and field dot value. Sure, why not? And now it wants to work. No, it doesn't want to work. And now it's completely gone because there is an error. Okay. Let me just force mode to be single and see if that helps any, just to, begin. Oh, okay. Yeah. Color and colors are different. So I think the error is happening here. And app.view, I just didn't recognize colors versus. So color is red and colors is an array, and I didn't see that in my last spin around here. And I'm in multi-select, and color is one thing, which I see represented here. And this doesn't work. But when I go ahead and use mode, the error pops up. And so, I mean, yeah, and just to double check, like it seems like the error is in the one that is, no, it's in color. Why? just in order to isolate there's two usages here. I'm going to get rid of one of them and just work with color on its own. So color we've set is single, um, but it seems to want or it's getting an array for the field, but it worked out okay when we passed in something else. So let's just log props here to see how things net out. And here I'm not passing in anything. No, I am passing in multiple. So, I mean, like the mode is... What? I'm sorry, what? Okay, so that... Ugh, this should be an array. So it's just... It is buzzing out on the right thing. So whatever I did was useless. So let me just get rid of this. Okay, this is going nice. Like that was just a... I didn't, process everything. And also because I'm speaking out all the steps I'm doing, I'm not in my natural flow. So, all right. Look at that. Well, yeah, that's amazing. And so this is like on refresh, it loads up what we want, the way we want it. Red is selected. And if I was to add orange and submit this, I expect to see in color, I expect to see red and orange. And this is the whole reason why we're doing this. It's pre-populating, or it's the initial values are as we intended, because now we can use field value. And I wonder why they just wouldn't make this available in the tag API. Like, and we would be done. That's a few hours of my life would have been, but there's probably some reason for them to do that. Okay, let's just test out this as well. If I remove this and submit, I expect to see in color is just one item, and then it pre-populates. This is fantastic. This is really where we started last time, and so I'm eager to just come in here and have this work. What is this? Did I make this like a text field or something? Yeah, I just, it's an entire mess. So we'll fix that up. Okay. All right, so it seems like multi-select is done. And I mean, this is probably not doing anything, but I'm not gonna worry too much about that for now. And so this is the only file I modified, apart from app.view. So app.view was just that correction. And here I removed the ref, so there's no ref that we're managing. It's all just one source now, which is fantastic. I don't have to have this like pseudo proxy ref to manage the value. And then this is just your regular hidden input field converting fab multi-select. Oops. Okay. What's next? This checkbox, for sure. This will be interesting because now I might be able to implement checked value, unchecked value, and all that business, which I really didn't do before. And I could have with that, with the tag API, but it's just something that I wasn't keenly aware of. So, yeah, toggle. Well, I actually want us explicitly make name a required prop here. But really, the props here should be inherited from fab field. And so maybe I can just do that later at some point instead of individually going in everywhere and like fab field. All these props are props on, you know, this object here anyway. So we'll get to it. We will get to it. Let's go to fab input and then let's go to fab checkbox. And we're going to actually copy all of this over here. I can replace this. These values will still stay up here. I don't need type checkbox here anymore. That can be hard coded here. And oops, what did I do? Okay, don't need that. And now some value does pop up and we have all these errors because this does not apply. Handle change, handle blur, that seems all legit. Okay, well, it's kind of saying, hey, no, V model's got to be the second thing here. And now I can't check it. Uncheckable. Because this needs a value. And so I will need some props here. Let me just copy this whole thing over here. That's great. Now I need to say name. Type no, and I do need a value. Be string or boolean or anything. So can I just make this unknown? I wonder. Can I? Who knows? Nobody knows. Let's see now if I uncheck, that works because there is a value coming through. And I guess by default it should be Boolean, but whatevs. Whatever, forever. So let me submit this, and terms of agreement should be true. And if I uncheck and resubmit, terms of agreement should be false. That much is good. But for example, like what happens if I wanted it to be on off, right? So I'm going to add an unchecked value here. And that will actually go here. So this checked value is going to be value. And unchecked value is going to be unchecked value. Okay. And let's just see if everything is legit. Seems so. I should be able to, and that's fine for now. False, false. So all of this is working. And let me go back to app.view and let's play around with terms of agreement. I'm not going to populate this to start, but if I did, is that, yeah, okay, good. That's still working, good. Come back here in terms of, let's say value is like maybe a thing with foo and, what am I doing? Foo and bar. What am I doing? Indeed, okay. Foo and bar. What happens now? So if I check this, I can't check it. Oi. Oi hoy. Well then. Value, value, value. Should this be field value.value as well? Is this, is this the... Terms of agreement is plain old true. And submit terms of agreement is plain old false. So maybe let's see how these work. So no real help here. It's saying, hey, it's used here. So let's just see how the examples pan out. Can I do this? Whoops. Checked value. It doesn't seem like... so that would have worked, but it doesn't seem like checked value or even checked is in any of these examples. So it's just a mystery. It's just a... Nobody knows. Custom checkboxes. Maybe here we'll see something. I do see a checked value, the use fill thing. Which, I'm like, oh, this is silly. Like, this does nothing. This is useless. Absolutely useless. So that true or false is something that the system is handling for us. But I should be able to pass this in to fab field and be able to get these things happening. Maybe. So let's see here. This is nice and non-functional. They are populating checked value as the value, which is fine because I'm kind of doing that. So let me hop into fab field and let's add a few unknowns here. Checked value and then unchecked value. And I'm going to make this unknown in this as well. And then we'll pop in down here. Oh no, right up here. And this can be undefined. And now I will have space to use this, and I can say checked value is checked value, or it's true. And then, whoops, and then unchecked value is the same but false. So that if it's empty, I gotta do this. So that if it's empty, there's some default values here. And it said that it's going to be ignored if it's not, the type isn't, checked or whatever, which makes me wonder if I need to pass in a type here. Let's not. Oi, let's do it. Let's do it. So now I'm gonna want to type and that'll just be passed in here. Alrighty. Okay. Which means coming back here, if I check and I submit, I might actually see my object now. I don't. Will you look at that? Okay, let's see what the values are. So it seems like that is being passed. And this is undefined, although I would have thought it to be false by default because of this business here. Please tell me. Oh, no. It is like this is undefined, but this might have a value still. That's fine. And then I would have expected, like when I check this, it the value is the value. But it turns out to be. So do I need to do this at all? I mean, at least for our purposes here. Yeah, I do, because that check no longer wants to happen. So I do, and then I guess it just gets translated as true anyway. So what's the point, one might say, and rightfully so. I don't see a value here. No value in the HTML. So can I just be like, okay, it's true? So now it does show up. And now when I check and I submit, will it blend? Nope. Nope. So I am passing checked value and unchecked value here, which is value and unchecked value. It is coming in here, and then I am defining this using checked and unchecked value as demonstrated here. But the type checkbox is not being passed. So that we need to pass. And now I would expect, well, I generally don't know what to expect. So I can't check this anymore. Will not check. But if I submit, it should be false. But I guess I should be able to go all the way to app, and I should be able to have a Baz here, and when, oh yeah, thank you, unchecked value. If I submit, will it be the object? No, it's just undefined. It doesn't care. It says, hey, I don't care. Although that is what's being passed in here. I have set type checkbox here, which means I have a type, fab field, and let's output type here. And click. Oh, wow. Look, it's huge, erroring right off the bat because we've defined this as a Boolean. Cool. Cool. Let's undo that. Terms of whatever, and let's not even have a check for you here. Let's just take it easy. Undefined, very nice. And I cannot check. So let's see, checkbox. What if I was to say field.value.value? No, I cannot check. Refresh and just checking the type, and it is checkbox. So whatever checkboxy goodness that we would have expected here should transfer. But it doesn't care. No care in the world. Who cares, right? Who cares? Checked value. And I got rid of it from here as well. So it's not like any of that is kind of populating that or polluting that, if you will. Amazing. Type equals checkbox. Type equals checkbox. Handle change, handle blur. It's not as if like there's no error here anymore because this is not part of any, you know. So the value was Baz or what have you for however long that happened for. So I should be able to do something like this here. And then field out value dot value. And it's plain old, whoa, it's gone. No, it's so it's empty here, and when I click, it becomes false, which is not sensible. So do I have a typo somewhere? Unchecked value, checked value is value, unchecked value is unchecked value. Yeah, I don't have a typo here because these fields would then have been something else. So maybe in fab field in that setup, checked value. This is checked value because I'm passing in value as checked value now. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Okay. Name value, unchecked value. Ha! How about that then? Should this even be vModel? So now we're just Baz straight up all the time, allegedly. So if I uncheck and I submit, that value is Baz. If I check and then I submit, this value is Baz, which is not correct. Let's double check. Bar Baz. Good. Some progress. So the field, like the V modeling of this was causing issues because maybe it always needs to be something. If I make this true, sorry, I'm just I think it might always have to be Boolean, or it gets converted into Boolean. So the hookup was incorrect. So what happens if I submit bare? It's undefined, which I don't know if that makes sense. This is all over the place. It's true. It's boo boo ba, and it's true. What if I don't pass in a value at all? Well, then what's, you know, who's to say anything? Now it's just on. Sorry, it's just Also, did I put this lulz here? I need to. Somebody needs to run the video back. Okay, well, let's, you know, I mean, it's progress. Is it? Now there's three straights. There's off or Nobody knows. Let's refresh. And let's submit. Let's see what happens. It's undefined. Check. Submit. It's on. Where from? Nobody knows. Searching here for on, which will not be fruitful. And that's, yeah, no comments. Value is foobar. Let me just, maybe I'm not. I have to copy properly. See, that's what it is. I'm not copying properly. Like, um, here I guess they're using a button as a box, and on click handle changes value. Oh, okay. Okay. Do I know? Does that make sense? Because the handle change here is probably what's throwing things off. So this is custom checkboxes, purely custom. Let's go to checkbox and radio and see what we have here. Do we have a use field? No. Custom checkboxes. No, that's not what I want. Okay, so this is documented under the whatever. It's documented is what. Uh, Under the caveat. Let's see if there's any checkbox business here. No. Handling forms. No. Nested objects. No. And on review. No. So nothing doing there. No. Maybe this is where value prop comes into play. Perhaps. Oh, okay. Right. Sorry, it's just making sense now. So this should be like the V model here is field.checked. That value maybe? I mean, this still doesn't make sense. And then that field value prop is equal to props dot checked value maybe, or true. Although I don't know why these are two separate fields. No, nothing doing. That's just wishful thinking. Okay, we're back here. Let's see what the checked value is as well. It's false. Always false. Okay, and let's get value equals field dot checked dot value maybe. I'm just grasping at straws here now, so don't mind me. So now when it's undefined, now it is checked, and now it is unchecked. The computed value reactivity failed business down here. Check. Okay. All right. If you say so. It's one of these things here. That doesn't make sense. That's not sensible. Maybe this shouldn't be dot value. Yeah, I'm just this is just target practice right now. Nothing real is happening here. Pause. What I'm not doing anything sensible right now. Which I believe should be the V model. Let's just get rid of value here. That is really blowing my mind. Okay, let's get rid of this because I think that's screwing things up as well. Okay, so that's partially sensible. So it seems like whatever was going into handle value was screwing things up. So let's think about what ought to go in there. That makes sense because I'd seen something like somewhere I'd seen where was it? Maybe here I'd seen handle change being handled a bit differently. And that was probably here. Right? It's at value. And I'm wondering if that makes sense at all. So let's bring this back. Does this become props.value straight up? So it seems like I have to manage it. So I have to say field.checked value or unchecked value. Almost. Seems I'm one behind. I wouldn't know why that would be the case. Now that's correct. I'm building out some kind of a mental model here. Although that's super interesting. You know, that false here is actually checked, right? But it disappears. Oh no, it's just empty after. Yeah, it disappears. It's empty after a bit. So I guess I got to do value here. Baz bar, Baz bar, Baz bar. No, that was not successful. Yeah, that's no, I shouldn't do value here because it's not the same as the other one. And I guess this makes sense because it's like, hey, if it wasn't checked before, handle the value as the opposite. So that's fine. And then I need to preset it. So I think I can do something like if props.type equals checkbox. And ideally I shouldn't be doing this here, but because the use field or revalidate intimately knows about checkbox, I feel comfortable doing this. Then, as kind of described here, or somewhere around, I know I saw it somewhere where I have to like do something like this. So I have to do something like this to start, and this can be checked value. I guess it's unchecked value, or I guess really it depends on what the value is. So it's like field params got value. Dot value or props dot unchecked. I'm not sure which one goes first or second, but I'll find out. And now Baz is correct, like it's unchecked. When I check it, it's still Baz, which is not correct anymore, which means because I already have it set, I need to unset here. So now when I check, bar, uncheck, no, no, that's fucked up. I mean, that's messed up. Baz, bar, I check, it should be Baz again. It is not. So, like, that's just senseless. No, this should be checked as well, right? So field dot checked, and this should still be value. And it doesn't like it because it's possibly undefined, and that's fine. And now I check, bar, uncheck, uncheck. No, that's not sensible. That's unfortunate. That seems reasonable. I check. That seems reasonable. Let me submit. That seems reasonable. I check. I submit. That seems reasonable. I uncheck. It should become Baz. That is unreasonable. And at this point, it's like, hey, checked is not, you know. That's ugh. Oy, 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 oy. That is doing this. But maybe instead of field.checked, I should check event value. Um, uh, Not quite. That is event. Target, sorry. So clear that up. Clear that up. Baz, bar, bar, bar. It's just event value. So it seems like this is true all the time, which is senseless. So let's make value equals true. I thought maybe giving it a value would make it mean something. It's actually checked and not value because we're not. And now we're clean. See, that's the, I mean, I should have thought of that sooner. Do I need to put that in there? I don't need to do that. So I'm going to keep that off. That's correct. That's correct. It doesn't like it because it's not part of target because it's a checkbox, but it's fine. It's fine for now. Like I think I've made it work. Sorry, it's just funny. So let's go to app.view. Let's get rid of. They shouldn't have to pass in value. And if I don't, by default, it'll be true. And I can get rid of this stuff. That field. Let's get rid of you. Clean it up. Submit. Should be true. What a disaster. Submit should be false. Okay. And that's because if value, use checked value, should be true. Should be true. Is that even necessary? Is value prop even necessary? Nobody knows. False is correct. Look, something is going for us. I would have thought that undefined here would result in true. Just being explicit. So now I gotta just play around again. It's always the simple things. I don't think that should do anything. Why did it? It doesn't. What happens if I it should be true, to be earnest. That should not do anything either. app view. I was like, hey, I don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. Maybe just to make sure to see what happens here. False. True. Uncheck. Should be false. Nothing is real in this world. Okay. Should this not have any bearing? Should I mean, this is not doing anything. I gotta bring this back. Checked value is true, unchecked value is false. Okay, what's, value prop. Oops. So now when I submit, it's false. When I check, it is true. When I uncheck, nobody knows. Ah, okay, I get it. I get it. That's good, good. Sorry. Okay, I see. I see. So what I should be doing is, so this was all fine. This is all good. I'm gonna play with this maybe later. Okay. Hear me out. Hear me out. It's because in my checkbox, I'm doing something like this, which I should be doing. Field dot checked value. Field dot unchecked value. Okay, and now when I come back, if I check and I submit, it should be true. Now when I uncheck and I submit, it should be false, because what's being set is coming from here, not from here. This is just initial values to start it off. Not really, not even that, because the initial value is really coming from here. So I actually don't know what this is for, to be honest. Oh. Yeah, I actually am not sure, because when we had done handle change before, I would have assumed that handle change would have looked at this and just made it work. Although now this doesn't make sense. So this needs to be true, and I can now test this out properly. Get rid of this. And app view, no longer need this true. And now here's the true test. False. Submit, true. Uncheck, submit, false. Yes. And then I can say something like, oh, I want unchecked value to be lols. And so now when I submit, I expect the value to be lols. When I check it, I expect the value to be true. When I uncheck, I expect the value to be lols. And it could be an object, it could be whatever. An empty object, if you so had pleased. And that's the case here. Okay, And here's the test. Will it pre-populate? So if I do something like this, where I say bring that back, refresh, it does not. This is the worst day. No, that's fine. That's fine. It's gonna be like this is the worst day ever. Almost. Almost. But I might have to do that initial check here. So I might have to say, hey, is field params value equal to props dot checked value. And I refresh. Oh, this would have been so nice. Oi, hoi, hoi, hoi. This would have been just dandy. This makes sense in my mind, right? Because the check property is, what is it? So let's do a console login here again. And now I'm doing field params value. I'm doing props dot props dot checked value. It doesn't like it because this can't be these value and checked value. Refresh. It's true. Value is true, and checked value is undefined. So this foiled again. Foiled again by myself. This needs to be field params checked value. So does this, and so does this. Almost. Field params dot checked value. Checked value is true. Value is true. Therefore, it should have been handle changed. And maybe this value needs to be the actual field value. No, that's nothing doing. I need to set checked equals to true in this case. Maybe handle change is not enough to do that. And so I would have to do something like if this, then if this, then can I do that here where it's like field params dot checked? What is it? It's a ref. So the value equals true. Should I be able to do that? Well, ain't that a shame? Let me comment this out and see how that turns out. Nope. Was really hoping this would be the case. Oh jeez. Oh my god. I don't deserve anything, to be honest. Don't deserve anything. I still deserve nothing. I think that does need to be done. So it seems to be the case that field params dot checked is not populated. And it should be. It should be. Um, uh, um, I'm wondering whether, yeah, I don't think an initial value needs to be passed in here because, so field params dot value is equal to field params dot checked value, which would come in from here. Now it's true, it is true, true. Field params dot checked value. Handle that change. Doesn't matter what order we do it in. It does. It does indeed. So now value becomes false and checked value is true. That's senseless. Okay. Yeah, that is senseless. So I think I'm getting a sense of nothing. I don't have a sense of anything. Maybe the handle change value is just supposed to be maybe no change needs to be handled. And here I'm just like, doubting everything now. I've made checked value true. And I can say field params dot checked dot value. And then true. And this is not checked still. Checkbox HTML checked. Yeah, okay. I mean, that seems like what we have done here. Oh, I can't do that. Just get rid of it for now. Bring back our friends. Okay, so nothing is happening here because we've gotten rid of handle. So let's bring it back. And let's bring this back and let's check now. Yeah, it's messed up. Nothing is real anymore. I thought I had it. What is this? What is this doing? So initially it's true, although it's not checked. Okay, so that's what's happening. So I need to bring my initial, I need to bring my handle change back. And this seems correct. Um, and I wish this were better documented, but because handle change just wants us to pass in the event. It's like, hey, just give me the event, updates the value and trigger. All right, handle change just wants the event. So that's why whatever we're doing is probably senseless. Because in the case of a checkbox, it needs to look at the true falseness of it. And so event or unknown. Okay. So there might be a check somewhere saying, hey, are you the event? If not, you're the value that I need to set. I should have committed or added at some point because I've changed a lot of code. This is sensible so far, apart from the initial value, which if I don't handle this change, oddly enough is true, which is correct. Check this true, but something is not true because it's not checked, right? Like, do my eyes deceive me? I would have expected to see it checked somewhere. That's interesting. See, this is why I didn't want to. This is exactly why I didn't want to change or refactor from field and use field. I wanted to use the tag because it handled everything. Everything was working because it did all of this, and I didn't have to, reprogram a checkbox. Jeez. Okay. So let's try this. Okay, I guess I'm sensing what I need to do here. thought I almost had it. See how it changed? Thought I almost had it. Okay, so now it just seems like that initial render doesn't have the checked. So this should just be field.checked value. Because now I think the unchecked value is just being taken care of. It's true, now you're false, now you're true again. And now the only thing that's remaining is the representation here. So like what happens if I do checked here? Nothing. So maybe that checked is also useless. And it is, because otherwise it would have showed up here. Let's look at the checked property, it says. Okay, great. It matches the following element in this example. But not this one. Sworn this should be simpler. Input checkbox checked. So maybe I need to say checked or false or undefined even. No, like there's nothing here. If I did something like data checked, you're there. And if you're gone, and you're there, and you're gone, and you're there, and you're gone. But you're not there when I do this. And is that because there's no value? Oops. Field dot, sorry. Value is field dot checked value. Why is there no checked param in my to any array, Boolean-ish or undefined, checked or undefined, Boolean-ish. So it's just true, but maybe like someone else is handling it, right? Like it's. I really would have just expected it to have shown up here. And then when I do this, I would have expected it to have shown up here. But like none of that is true. And I'm like a couple hours in. What a drain. Just for a checkbox. Can you believe it? All right. See, this should have been it. This is it. This. Oh my god. Is it because I'm doing this? Okay. Guess not. That would have been that. Like if everything just worked, I would have been very upset. Okay, and it does work. And am I upset? Mildly upset. That was it. I don't need a V model there. Because checked is all you really need. And the V model is really just manually checked anyway. So if I get rid of this and I refresh, it should just work, but it doesn't. But instead of the V model, if for example I did do checked, it works now, and it was a combination of the V model and the check that was really messing things up. And now that value is pre-populated. I did learn something, right? I learned that this really just needs to check value. And I only need to run it. I suppose I don't need to run it at all. Like I thought I had to do this, for example, to start, but that would just flip the bit. And do I even need to do this at all? I don't think so. I think it just naturally works. There might be a case where I do need to do it. Okay, so now this is just a pure console.log. So let me just uncomment this. Or let's bring that back and uncomment this. Let me go into app.view. I'm not really upset. It's just I should have seen it sooner. Okay, app.view. And if terms of agreement is not set to start, it's still checked, which is wrong. Checked value is false, but it's checked, which is wrong. So now it's like always checked. So it wasn't working. So maybe I'm not that upset. There's no value. And when I click, there's a value. Now it's like it's all messed up now. Yeah. True. If I don't populate it, checked, then true or undefined. So the value is not there, and checked is false. So I would have assumed this wouldn't have come into play. But the very fact that I have it here at all with anything, so let's say I had it as undefined, would it? Okay, so that's fair, which means checked is true. Doesn't seem to be the case because what is going on? Because I can see it to be false here, right? So this should not be checked. And then handle change gets true value. And now it gets false value. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Sorry, I just gotta get rid of this. And what if instead of handle change, I just changed it? Uh, on input. I actually don't trust this is doing anything at all right now. So if I get rid of it, what happens now? So it was doing something. So I'm managing the state here, but it is here. Okay, let's go back here. And now true and false are coming through appropriately. And I suppose I could check the state as well, right? I could do something like, oh, what is this? I could check the state as like, okay, event dot target dot checked field value or field dot unchecked value, right? I suppose I could do something like this. And this seems very legit. But that initial checked value is still determined by Lord knows what. So now it's correct, right? Like now it's looking at the checked value and setting it. Right, because initially it's true, true-ish, although it's not set here. And then, okay. Okay. I want to get rid of that. Now, can I do something like checked equals, field dot checked? Is that possible? Nope. No, it is not. Because there's no true here for terms of service. I really wanted to do these other fields as well. By the way, this is now just a text field. which should be a text area. Oh, sorry, there's no text area. And these are filled. Very nice. You know what? But I'm determined at least to complete the try and complete as much of the refactoring as I can. I was gonna say complete the refactoring, but then I looked at the time and I'm like, okay. This is really throwing me for a loop, which is checked as false, so it should just be false, right? I can't. Okay, I mean, in this case, then I just got to do like field.value equals to field.checked value. So now it's false. I mean, it's true. False, true, false, true, false. That switch is correct. Okay, and now if I come in here and bring in this and refresh, it should be checked. And it is, and it's unchecked. So like, I'm not gonna question anything. Okay, so now since this is the case, I want to see if this works when I do something like Lala. Yeah, of course. Now, see, it starts off as Lala, but which it shouldn't, right? Because it's unchecked. No, it is checked because there's a value there. Okay, that's fine. But because of that, I need to pass in for value. I need to pass in Lala, for example. And now it's checked. This is and unchecked as false. And for example, if unchecked was unchecked value is lols, let's just say, now we're flipping in between lols and Lala. But what happens if I come back up here and I say lols? Is it going to be unchecked to begin? And it is. That's nice and very reassuring. I think we're finally getting there. Okay, I think that's it. Lala. The value is Lala, and it is checked. And I didn't have to do anything. Like I didn't have to handle anything up front. Because I'm not using any of the handle stuff, right? I'm just saying, hey, I'm defining these based on the values. And then here, based on this, I'm setting the value. And that's it. That's all there is. Okay. Let's just say true. And I wonder now whether like, yeah, because even the value is true, because it doesn't match the true value of the check value, it doesn't come in. That's good. So I can't wait to get the storybook so that we can have like multiple cases of it all defined and tested and whatnot. So this seems to be working fine now, and I can get rid of these. And I'm good here. Oh my God. Okay. Let's review. So here, really the change that's been made is I want to actually bring this back because it is Boolean. And I've gotten rid of just value because it's true by default. And I'm okay with that. And then fab checkbox, what's happened is we have these values coming in now, and we're passing these through. We've replaced just the emptiness with a default template that we're managing ourselves. And we tried to do what the documentation told us to do for the most part, or we misread it and then we misimplemented it. But just by using default JavaScriptiness, we're able to properly manage the values. And we don't need this business here. This is not needed. So really what we've changed here is we've added a type, optional, checked value, and value really just for checkbox. And we just have some default values over here. Okay. Great. All right. That's good. Converting checkbox. And let's see. Let's do toggle. Yeah, let's do it. Going to use checkbox as a model. Get into this toggle here. And maybe this can be a hidden checkbox because I want all the checkboxy properties. But let's see. I mean, ideally this should be managed or manageable by the check. So here we're going to get rid of the reference that we were storing. Toggle is being used, my friend. We're going to get value and unchecked value in here all the same. This stuff can remain, although I don't know if it really is being applied. This, for example, like I don't know if this is being applied at all. It didn't like it. Cogen is missing. Apply appropriate transforms first. So I just have a doubled up default because I already had a default template. I'm gonna get rid of the hidden input. And here we just have a checkbox now. And I want the checkbox value to dance along here, and then that kind of way we know it's working. So the model is what we will pass here. So can I just say this? And light is true now, but it seems like it's the flip side of this. And that doesn't make sense to me because I would have expected this to be checked. So, and the reason that probably not happening is we're not passing in a type equals checkbox. So let's do that. And we're not passing in these values. So let's do that. You don't need a view model here. And this click we're going to have to handle later. This is not this. Now if I refresh, and those are in sync, and this is in sync. But this is working, but incidentally because we should be doing something like this. But this becomes, oh, I can't do this. So, well, this will just have to go away for now. Because I really don't want to I don't want to mess. Oh, and it works because this is tied to this, and so it just naturally works if we use a checkbox, which means I probably can just do a hidden here. And now this works as we would have expected it to. And for good measure, let's just do that. It's false, it's true, refresh, it's true. And there is some duplication here. Maybe there's room for refactoring, but I don't want to. Not after what we went through. At some point, yeah, it should be refactored. Yes, yes. Okay, well, this is nice because we're using the checkbox as a hidden field. This just works by default. If I go back into app.view and light is not populated up front, it's false, and that management is good. If I go into light and the default value is, Lala, and I refresh, so I would have expected to see Lala here, but we need to pass those values in here into toggle. So view form toggle and false value and true value. String number boolean. That's interesting. It doesn't I would have assumed that would just take anything. No worries. False value is unchecked value, and oops. True value is value. And now when we come back here, I expect to see. I did expect to see Lala. I really did. Especially because, we're doing this business here. Right? So we're sorry. So checked value is value, unchecked value. Toggle is field because there's no, and then this should be field.checked value. Voila, here we go. And if unchecked value was lols, yeah, I don't know why I'm binding it to a fixed string, but lols indeed. And that is sensible. I should be able to just pass in nothing and have it be true or false again. And I should be able to bring this back and refresh and have it pre-populated. Fantastic. This is good enough for me. If it is good enough for you, and it should be. And I'm really glad we avoided that whole label thing by using a hidden checkbox instead of a hidden field. Or just hiding the checkbox instead of the hidden field. And I might do something similar for, I might not need to actually, but let's see. Okay. So here we go. All we've done here is just remove the default value, no problem. And here we've changed everything. Really, it's just exactly the checkbox, but with toggle. And now we can use that V model finally. And the class is hidden instead of the classes. So really we could just swallow this into checkbox later maybe. Convert fab toggle. I'm so close. I just got to do text area and this here. So let's do slider and let's copy checkbox input. Let's try and copy input. Why not? So we already have a default template. Let's pull in the slider here. And the type will be, well, class hidden. Maybe the type can also just be hidden. Sure, why not? And view model is field.value.value. And immediately this popped up as 30, which is the default value that we had set. And that works right off the bat. But I have a value defined, which I don't believe I need anymore, since this is useless. Okay, I think this should be simple enough. If I go into app.view, should I be able to do, so in width, should I be able to do, 30, 60? And if I refresh, yes, we can. So I think if, as long as we define some initial value that determines how many, things we can have in it, it'll just get managed. Can I have how many? How far can we go? Where? Okay, so there's like a whole lot to be done here. For example, if I put 120 in here, this is 100. So it seems like the parameters here are just going from like 1 to 100, and those should be able to be modified with like min or max values. So something to look into. But I'm gonna leave a to do and do it later because I generally don't have the energy. To do, add min max settings from slider component, and then handle initial multi-values. But otherwise, it seems like this is good enough for it to handle the values. And if I was to submit, I should see, 21. 21, 67, 81, and 100. Perfect. I'm just going to make this 30 for now. My expectation is to use it as a simple slider at the moment. And then the rest of it should just work. Let's see what we've changed. Just the fab slider. Added the to do to handle min max and maybe some of the other features that it provides. But this is good. Good enough for now. Converting fab slider. And then text area, which seems important to me. And we could probably just copy most of fab input in here. And get away with it. So this can be this. And placeholder is fine. They'll come through. We don't need type. We do need to say text area instead of input. And is that it? Is that all the magic we need? Seems like it. Okay. So let's see here. I got name, ID, vmodel input blur placeholder. I mean, hey, like that looks good to me. And it's really v input, but all this changes is this. And you know, if we change the styles later, it's the style. So converting fab text area. Oops. Okay. And that's it. Except for this. And I want to quickly try something. And if it doesn't work, I promise I won't dwell on it. I remember seeing like an on validate something, something, something. If that works out of the box, validate on value update. If the field should be validated, the value changes. Default is true. I do not want the default to be true. So fab field we go, and false, straight up. No chance. And if I come back here and no, that it doesn't care. On update. No shit's given. How annoying. I'm just about to type the email. Give me a second, please. Was really hoping that'd be the magic we needed. But one must wonder. And indeed, one must wonder why they have that there. But I guess we need to work that in as part of handle change. But no chance. Yeah, like that's not happening. So we have to do this and we have to turn it off? What a mess. So then I would have to, in every single one, say handle change. Oy. I know I said I wouldn't, but really maybe input is the only one we need to do it to. So that becomes field.handle change. And then this would be event.target.value, right? And you're complaining because target might not exist. False. And now you're complaining because okay, we'll deal with that later. So now when I come back and say I get rid of this, but when I submit, I should see the error. Why not just no questions asked? Text area, change that, and you know, we're set. Thank you. Okay, so here we have validate. I wonder if I do remove it, whether it doesn't care. And it doesn't, so it needs both. And I'm sure there's a reason for that, which I do not know. And at the moment, I do not care to know. All right. I think we did it. We refactored it. Took a lot of time. Way more than I would have wanted. And I think a couple of things threw us off. One, which was this was fairly straightforward. I think checkbox for the most part, and then some stuff early on I don't remember properly now. Okay. We see some of the recursive things sometimes, and I think it's because of hot module reloading and not because of the form itself. Because if I use the form naturally and submit and all that, um, I'm not seeing any trouble happening. So, like, I'm not too worried about that. I'm not worried at all about that. Okay, seems like we refactored it, and the next time, legitimately, I think we can try playbook and have the variations and the different options on display. Um, and I haven't really played around with Storybook before, so that will be interesting. We're making progress. We're making progress. Especially, I think it's not so bad for the overall time we've spent on it, right? Like, really, the work I'm doing on the streams is the work that's being done on this. Otherwise, there's no work happening, and so net, I think we're still good. All right. Good night.